Good evening, Tewksbury. It is 6:00 p.m. on Thursday, January 18th, 2024, and I'd like to call this meeting of the Tewksbury Board of Health to order. We have a short agenda tonight, but I'm going to take the agenda out of item, and we're going to start with announcements. So, Kate?
Good evening. It is with a heavy heart that I share news with you all this evening. Due to unforeseen circumstances in my personal life, I will be stepping down from my position on the Board of Health effective immediately. I want to thank the community for bestowing their trust in me to serve the town's best interests. My gratitude extends to my colleagues on the board for their warm welcome and to our fantastic town staff for supporting all candidates in their endeavors. I'm resigning now rather than completing a full year as I originally intended because my family and I share a common belief in the democratic process. I want my unexpired term to be filled during the upcoming election cycle by the same voters who put their faith in me. You may still see me pursuing my advocacy efforts in town, and please know that I will continue to do those as I am able to. Thank you all for everything, and best regards to the board. Until next time, good evening.
Okay. Thank you and best of luck.
Thank you.
Come on, Lily, let's go. Yeah, Mama's coming over here. Lily, come on.
Okay. Continuing on, and we still have a quorum, so we can still proceed with the meeting. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes from December 21st, 2023. I've had a chance to review and edit the minutes, and that's what was submitted to you. So do either of you have any edits or comments or suggestions for the minutes?
I do not.
I do not.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
And I second.
Okay, motion's been put forth and second to approve the minutes of December 21st, 2023 as submitted. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
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 Chair votes aye as well. Motion carries unanimously, 3-0. Well, this is going to be a very quick meeting because we have nothing for hearings, new business, old business, discussion, director reports.
Alrighty. So for a few new food establishments opened up in town, Sal's Pizza being one of them at 1700 Shawshene Street, and the Hilton Garden Inn, which was formerly the Holiday Inn. They have their permits to operate. And then Brothers Pizza at 553 Main, which was formerly the Skybox, they should be opening within the next few weeks. And then Ashley is teaching a youth mental health first aid course on January 30th at the Westford Public Library. If anyone's interested, they can reach out to Ashley. That's all I have.
I have a question regarding, we're supposed to be getting the other restaurant that was opening where the bakery was?
Marabella's?
Where Marabella's was?
They're closed too,
Okay.
very close.
Wow.
And the pull-up is closed as well.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Boy, it's a flurry of activity of new restaurants in town.
Yeah.
That's the best thing that could happen. Because the more restaurants we have, the more people come here, and
Right.
Yeah.
I
it's
agree.
exciting. It's very exciting. Thank you.
It's funny because as you read in the press that a lot of restaurants are having to close, at least chains close locations, it's good to see people willing to open up.
Well, I think what it is the chains are closing, but the towns are going towards more family-oriented, which is a great thing for a lot of us. And it just brings more people to Tewksbury or the various towns. So it's-
So there was a restaurant that had closed up on Main Street in South Tewksbury, right by the smoke shop that closed, right?
Yeah, that will be the
The
pull-up.
Bluebird, or that's
Yep.
pull-up? Okay.
He did a bunch of renovations. It looks really nice in there.
Oh, great.
Yeah, because for all the times I pulled by, last time I pulled by, there was a lot of like contracted vehicles in it, which was a good sign, so.
The Skybox looks completely different too.
Oh,
Looks
good.
great.
That's good. It's nice to hear.
Yeah.
So it's not just people who are opening up what was a shell business, but they're putting money into,
Right.
so that's really a good sign.
Well, I think Tewksbury has a great reputation, so. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, good, and hopefully they'll all follow the food safety code, and we'll never have to see them come before us.
Well, they have a beautiful kitchen, so it won't be facility related.
I love nice kitchens.
Of course. Awesome.
So where are we with the grants? I think last time there was
So-
talk of going
We're-
after a new grant?
We're interviewing candidates next week for the public health specialist position, and then the shared service coordinator position. I believe, I don't know if it's advertised yet. I think we had a few more questions on it before we put it out for applicants.
Okay, well, good.
And I have a question. How are we going to go forward with the work groups? You had spoken about them a few times, and the ideas were really great for the town, because there's many ways in which we can expand the work groups. So I just don't want it to die. I want it to move forward.
So I will give you an example challenge. And I don't look at things as challenges, I look at them as opportunities. So in trying to, at the last meeting, I talked about, my hope was that I could have a working group meeting be scheduled to go over the Body Act regulations. But the challenge is having people from 3 different businesses have a calendar that overlaps so that there was a common time to meet was not possible in January. So one of the challenges moving forward, looking once I'm off the board, for future work groups is trying to find a way to get around that. Director Gillis and I did have a brief conversation. We will need to follow up with Kevin Feely, our town attorney or town council, to find out what are the requirements for a work group. Because someone from the Body outside had asked, could we do it as a Zoom call? Because it's much easier for people to do things like that. So we need to get some groundwork established for what we can do. Now, for a board meeting like this, there is the remote participation policy. So if a member is not able to attend, but they can participate remotely, they can do that. So I'm not sure how that would work in this. So we need to find that out so that we'll then share that with you, so then you'll have a better idea of how can you resolve some of these issues that might preclude a work group from coming. So it's still,
Lapse so long. I mean, I feel like it's months and months and months before we do things, and I like the idea of possibly having 2 meetings a month, because I just don't feel like once a month, just my opinion, I don't feel like we're doing it enough. And I feel like there's so much that we can do, and I just don't want to wait anymore.
well, as I said, historically, the board used to meet twice a month. And that was, I think it might have been when I first joined the board, or when I joined the board, they had just stopped doing that and went to monthly. But, and then that would be another thing for town council would be, once the new board and new chair are elected, come the municipal election in April, can the meeting calendar be changed mid-year? Can we add a second date?
That's 3 months away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
wait so long.
But it was already approved.
yeah, because we've already approved the one calendar. So I'm not sure legalities
Yeah.
of the board calendars, and if,
It would have to be approved, right? Like the second one?
Well, even if you're talking about the twice a month,
yeah.
but just the work groups. Like, why do we have to wait so long to put them together and start working on them? Because, we talk about new council, but that's not until April. I mean, so much can change in our lives
Right.
until April.
Maybe what you can do is just check and see if Kevin could join us for our February meeting,
Okay.
and just educate the board about work groups and how we're able to proceed in the different ways, because, yeah, and at least that way we can take that knowledge and sort of plan accordingly. Now, I will say that when I did the working group for the keeping of animals regulation rewrite, that worked out very well, and we had, I think it was 2 meetings, and we did take very basic minutes of that, because it was a public meeting, so whether a board member or 2 board members or more appear at a work group, minutes still have to be taken, even though they can be very cursory. The advertisement of the meeting is then dictated by how many board members will be present. So Kevin can enlighten everyone on just what the legalities are, so that no one runs afoul of the rules, but if we know how to work with them, then you folks can figure out.
Yeah. And I think especially, I
Utilize
agree
it.
with the urgency of, especially if there's still things that are pending, that we get to work on.
Even new things that aren't pending, just
Yeah.
things that
New things that come up
really
and
should-
pending
that we need
things.
to focus on.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm going to make a slight pitch, and we'll come back to that. So we have 2 3-year positions open for the board. Procedurally, the selectmen have to nominate or to direct the town clerk to add a vacancy once one exists. So once Ms. Gracio gets the letter with the termination date, then the selectmen can vote to whether they'll add that onto the ballot for April or not.
Okay.
So that's the focus on that. So there are 2 3-year seats open. There'll be a 2-year seat open. It's left to be decided or determined by the select board whether that makes it onto the ballot or whether that's done as a special meeting afterwards. So I encourage anyone that's out there to please consider running. It's a good way of giving back to the town. You just need to have your signatures dropped off by February 16th at 5:00 PM, and that's when the 50 valid signatures and addresses of town voters have to be approved by. And the recommendation's always been you try to go double that, because people can't read handwriting, or potentially get someone that's truly not a resident of this town that signs mistakenly. But I think the other thing that historically has hindered the board is the ability to have a full quorum present in order to have a meeting. So in the past 2 years or so, we've had more than our share of meetings we've not been able to hold. Someone had asked me, well, how can we cancel the meeting? And I said, well, that's also a good sign, because normally for the board, at these meetings, besides approving minutes, it would be whatever issues have the director of the health department brought forth. So when there aren't issues that warrant coming people before the board or discussion at the board level, then that's a good thing, because that means things are not at a critical level that people have to come before us. So historically, we've been more of a reactive board for that reason.
I would also like to add that I've had people that may be interested, but they're so afraid because they don't have medical background. And it's important to know that you do not have to have a medical background. I think you need to have the want to help the town and to be a part of changing things and making things better for the town. And common sense. Can't help but say that, but it's common sense. And just have that desire is what we need.
Agree.
Right, because we have a town nurse that can always be invited to a meeting should we need to rely on the official town nurse to whatever consultation we need. But back in the day, we had people of varied backgrounds, and it helps to have varied backgrounds, because we cover a lot of different issues, and hopefully one of our varied backgrounds will coincide with the issue that's before the board. Yeah, and I'm surprised that no one has pulled papers yet. It's not a scary process, and I can tell you, having done multiple times, getting signatures, it may seem like a daunting task, but there are groups that will help out in town. I know at my house, there are 5 registered voters that'll be willing to sign anyone's papers, so if anyone is interested, you have 5 less signatures you need to get. And I think there are a lot of people that are generous like that, because it's more we want to see people on the ballot and then let the voters en masse decide who are the best qualified candidates.
Agree.
But we need to have people sign the papers once people pull them to at least get names on the ballot. Yeah, and I'll reemphasize, one does not need medical background to be in this, and I think at times, because of the nature of what we deal with, it's not always medical. So, I mean, Charlie Rue was in septic. My background was EMT, but civil engineer, so I had a lot of varied backgrounds. We've had a dentist, we've had a lawyer who's also been a small business owner, well, Mr. Scarano. We have your backgrounds. In the past, we've had Phil French, who's a fellow restaurant owner. People that worked in medical offices. So, yeah, anyone of any, it's more important that you come out and be willing to help the town, and you learn on the job in doing this.
Absolutely.
And I've been on for 12 years, and I'm still learning it. So don't be afraid. There's a long learning curve, but there are people here to help.
And you need the passion. You definitely need the passion. It's not, I'm going to say this, it's not just a political position. It's a
Correct.
position that's for people who have the passion for the town, and they want to do something for the town.
Right.
And they want to, in any way they can. And it has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with the drive and the passion.
Well, COVID has definitely shown us that a health crisis can never, in the future, ever be managed again by politicians,
Right.
because that was not a good recipe. And I'll just make a public mention, too, that if anyone is interested in joining the board, my contact info, I think, is on the town website, at least the email addresses. People have questions, feel free to call me. I am also not leaving town, so I'm here to act as a resource, because there is a lot of institutional knowledge that will be leaving with myself and Mr. Scarano, not being on the board for the next term. And I don't want to leave the board high and dry. So whatever I can do to provide any insight or history, I'm always willing to help out.
That's appreciated.
Okay. Anything new from the school work group?
No, we have not met a second term. I think the next one is I believe the next one's in February.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what the frequency of those was.
Every 2 to 3 months, yes. So then, yes, the next one is in February that I have on my calendar. So for our next meeting, I'll have updates.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. And as long as we have 3 members, I still fully plan to have meetings in February and March. So even though we're sort of lame duck in terms of what we're able to do as a board between now and then, as long as 3 of us show up,
Do it.
Yep.
then we'll keep going. There'll be no, the body art regs, there's not time enough to get the full process done in order for us to vote in that before Bob and I step off the board. So that'll be something, if the new board decides to proceed with it, have at it, and I'll be there to help in the work group or whatever I can provide for resources in that.
Great.
Is there anything else you wanted to add?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Well, we're going to be done in record time. Would someone like to make the Mr. Rue motion?
Wow.
Go for it.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I second that motion.
Okay, motion's been put forth and second to adjourn tonight's meeting. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
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 I guess I'll vote aye as well. Motion carries unanimously, 3-0. It is 6:20 PM. Good night, Tewksbury.
Good night.